that I love to make things from scratch. I like making my own backgrounds. I also enjoy, obviously, all facets of scrapbooking. But I wanted to pull out a supply that I haven't used in forever. And I sort of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it. I haven't used gouache forever. Now, I never went in and bought a super expensive artist quality gouache 900 piece set or anything like that. A few years ago, I was having a bit of a play with some different art supplies that I'd never really touched before. Okay, gouache was one of them. Anyway, here in Australia, we have a product. I don't even know if it's sold overseas, but I know we have it here in Australia, and it's called MARTE. And MARTE is, I would say, it's definitely a better quality than school quality. You could look, for me and what I do art-wise, it's the best quality. I absolutely love it. Please ignore the fact that this particular tub has gone dry, but it's okay because gouache, it's water based, so you can just add some water to the pot and it rejuvenates. It's the same as your normal watercolors, but gouache has a much higher opacity to it, so it's much more opaque. So if you take it straight out of the tub and paint with it, it literally will go over the top of another color. So if you paint black and then you want to go over the top of that with, say, green, wait for the black to dry and then paint with the gouache straight over it. If you add liquid to it, I have noticed that it gets a bit milky, but everything I've done with this particular paint set, it has serviced every single need that I had. It was perfect. Now, what I'm using is, and you probably have noticed that I'm spraying my mist water spray on the back of my paper as well as the front of my paper. Now, this particular paper is the MARTE watercolor book. That's what it's sold as. It's an A5. It's 190 GSM. Now, it's actually watercolor paper. So this paper can hold a butt ton of water, okay? I get very heavy-handed. When I'm doing something like this, I just sort of go, chuck it on, see what happens. That's the kind of artist I am. When I try and I want to create something different, or I want to do something different, I just give it a crack and see what happens. See how that green has come back to life? Not a problem at all. Now, that was completely rock hard. All I did was spray some water in there and it came back to life. So all I'm doing, because I just wanted to do something different, and I thought I want to use a supply that has been tucked away in one of my caddies and I haven't used for ages. So then I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and thought, why don't I pull out a stack of MARTE things that I have and see if I can't make some sort of scrapbooking page without using all the new technical tools that we have, at our beck and call, the Cricut and all that sort of fun stuff. So I just went back to basics. Now, all I'm doing here, this is just it's actually Poppy Craft white cardstock. It is, I have not done anything to it. I haven't prepped it, primed it, nothing. I'm using the black gouache because I'm trying to make a sort of a messy ring. I'm intentionally creating an overlap with this. I'm not trying to get it perfect. Yes, I used a compass to start with because, otherwise we'd end up with eggs, let's be honest. So I'm using the gouache straight. So you can see how some of the lines I'm using it straight. Some I'm dipping my paintbrush in some water and sort of diluting it a little bit. Same tone, same color. Now, what I just showed you really quickly there, and there's a reason why I've sped it up so much, okay? Because This was a bit of a labour of love, and I absolutely loved doing it. It was so much fun. I am using the MARTE Mini Detail Taklon brush set. Now, I bought these brushes forever ago. These are, when I say fine detail, they are fine. You can like get the finest detail. I picked the thickest one out of the brush set, and all I'm trying to do is create sort of sticks sticking out. That's just to give my eye a bit of a guide for later on. Now, do you like my paint palette? It's my Creative Memories multi-purpose tool. And I've just put a bit of paint and a bit of water on the tip of it. And that way I don't have to keep, for the sake of the video, so my hand and arm isn't just going across the screen all the time. Now, the gouache does dry pretty quick and it is very opaque. So, as I've said before, that's the nature of the beast. That's what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's MARTE or any other form of gouache. It's got a high opacity to it, so you can't see through it. It's not very transparent. So this particular paint set that I bought, can't even tell you how much it cost me because I bought it that long ago. It's still working fine. I store all of my art supplies in good how do you word it? They're not exposed to sunlight. Everything that I have it's in a room. Yes, we have summers that are pure hell, in my opinion, and our winters aren't normally super freezing cold either here in Queensland. But so all of my supplies, they last forever. Okay, so here what you see me doing is I've dried off my watercolour paper, and this is where I finally worked out what I'm actually going to do. Another supply that I don't use anywhere near enough are my stamps. I really don't use them enough. So this is just a mixed floral stamp that I got from a $2 shop, and I just happen to like the shape of the flowers. They're easy to fussy cut because they're not super difficult. You know, there's not leaves and all that sort of bizzo. But so I thought I'd go through, and this is what I'm going to do. I finally made the decision. Originally, I was thinking of just doing some leaves and cutting some leaves and putting them around that wreath. That's what I was thinking. Changed my mind. I was going to do all just different coloured leaves and just roughly fussy cut them. Well, I went down a much more complex road. It's not like me. I hear you all saying, Karen, that's not like you. Really? You're getting really complicated? No, not at all. It's actually super simple. The watercolor paper is really easy to cut out. It's not like cutting cardstock. Okay? It's really easy to cut out. And to be honest with you, I stamped all these out. I have stamped with my Ranger's archival ink because it's waterproof. Okay? Mainly because I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back in with some more gouache for like to create a tone. But then I got to this point and realized, you know what? There's no way I'm going to sit and hand paint individually and all the rest of it. Because I've stamped so many flowers here, it's crazy. But it's okay, stick with me. Now, check out the size of that ink pad, would you? I ordered that from Craft Online, and I thought, because it's archival, because I didn't want, this is what I was saying the other day in one of my videos, because I didn't want to get stays on again because it smells to high heavens. So I got this one, and look at the size of it. It's massive. I absolutely love it. So now I found another stamp set that I had, and it had a pretty basic leaf. I wanted something that was going to be easy to cut out because by this time, obviously, I had committed to, I'm going to be fussy cutting for a week. It didn't actually take that long, believe it or not. I will be truthful and I will let you know straight up, right up front. I have the Tim Holtz mini snips, and they do have a slight perforation to them. They also have soft, squishy handles, so they bend with your hands, so you don't get sore hands. So fussy cutting, I have bad arthritis in my hands, and I can tell you now, I fussy cut all of these with no pain. So I sat in front of the TV, I watched the I can't even get it out. Masked Singer. I can never say that. Anyway, so I didn't record me fussy cutting at all because, you know, we all know how to cut out a flower, right? So I put them in the tray, and at this point I knew where I was heading. I knew what I was doing. Then I thought I need a title. So I pulled out my Creative Memories Classy ABC 123 mini stickers in ebony and platinum. Now, something that I have done since I started scrapbooking is doing this shadow lettering. Some people look at it and think, wow, that's a waste of lettering, like letters. But that's the reason why I love the Creative Memories sticker sheets, because you get a stack of letters. As you can see here, I use up my sheets. I go through and I do, so what I'm doing there, I know it looks a bit higgledy-piggledy, but I go through the sheet that's got the least amount of letters on it and try and fill up from that sheet and then move down the line. All I'm doing is putting the black letter over the silver letter, but slightly, moving it ever so slightly to the right. So the silver is in the background and the black is in the front. Sometimes I do it the other way around and I'll do the black with the silver. But because I was putting this on a white background and I knew there was going to be a lot of colour on the page, I actually wanted to draw a little bit of the black out of the flowers from where I had fussy cut them. I wanted to sort of add some more black. This page that I'm scrapbooking is actually of my second child and my husband. And there you go, there's the photos. So this is a baby layout essentially. And the other thing I wanted to show you guys, and I keep showing you guys this, and I will endeavour to continue doing it, because a lot of people get stuck in baby layouts having to look like baby blocks and rattles and that sort of thing. And I want to show you that you can display your photos beautifully and it doesn't have to be that way. So here I'm using a bit of squeezed lemonade. Lemonade? Yes, squeezed lemonade, distress ink. I just wanted to add a little bit of blending. Sorry if you heard that cough. Apologies, that's my daughter. So I wanted to add some blended yellow in the background just so it wasn't so white. And then around the outside edge, I got some of the ink and I just blotted it on there. It's the packaging technique, but you know when you first spray the ink on the plastic, so you put the ink on and then you give it a light spritz. And because I've got this bottle that is a mister, oh, it's so good. And what it actually does is it leaves like little bubbles on the surface. So that's what I actually got on my page. I didn't smush it down hard. So anyway, so then after I did all the lettering and stuff, I then felt that that was going to be too white. So I added a little bit of colour and I just let that dry. I thought just sit that to the side, let it dry, stop touching it, move on to the other part and see where we come, like see where it goes. So here you can see what I'm doing with the flowers. They're not flowers. They are leaves. So these leaves they're all fussy cut. You can see all the flowers all cut out there in my tray. I call that my working in tray. And what I wanted to do to add texture, I wanted to fold the leaves up. So I'm grabbing my tweezers, and all I'm doing is putting the centerpiece of the tweezers on one side of the center line and just squishing it together. And it's creating the leaf with the fold in it. Because the MARTE watercolor paper is, well, it's 190 GSM. It's nice and thick, so it holds its shape pretty well. Like it actually holds up pretty well. I am not putting anything under, like as in foam or foam dots or anything like that to keep it up like that, because eventually when I put it in my album, it will go flat, and that's totally fine with me. So I'm going around, and this is me just auditioning. Is that how we're going to word it? Still at this stage, I wasn't confident. I was already 2 hours, maybe 3. Okay, I'd committed to cutting all the flowers and the leaves out, so that was at least 3 hours of cutting. And I still hadn't actually put it on paper to see if it was going to even look any good. So as I was developing this process, I started to believe in myself that I could do this. I can do this. This is going to work. This is going to work. And yeah, so I just go around. Now, this is not a rainbow order, anything. This is not, I didn't even have a rainbow in my head when I was putting colors on paper. I was just putting the colors that I liked out of that gouache palette on paper. And I faded them out with a big water wash so that I ended up with 2 tones of flower, but it's the same gouache color. You could do, if you don't have any gouache, you could do it with acrylics, you could do it with inks, you could do it with sprays, you could do it with watercolor, you could do it with, what are those gel things called? Pastel pens. I'm trying to think what they're called. It'll come to me. Missy Whidden uses them all the time. I can't think what they're called. Gelatos. That's what they're called. You could use those, and you could get all different varying colors. You could use watercolor felt pens. They're water soluble. Go for it. You could. I was going down a water path with this, so I wasn't thinking alcohol inks with it, but by all means you could color all these leaves. You could stamp all these leaves and color them all in with alcohol ink. You could do that too. There is an absolute plethora of different ways you could possibly do this layout. When I started, I thought, I'm going to go down the path of using a product that I haven't used for a while. I don't even think I've even used gouache on my YouTube channel since I started it, actually. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to make this a double-edged sword. So if you're new to scrapbooking, you might think this might be way overstimulating for you. Or flip it over the other way and think, all I've used is a $3 stamp, some watercolor gouache, watercolor paint, essentially, which here in Australia, guys, you can get MONT. You can get it in, you can get it from Kaisercraft. You can get it from, I think Spotlight stock some of it. You can get it from $2 shops. You can get it. It is so accessible to get all these products. Not to mention you can buy them online as well. So there is so many different ways of going around and doing this. Now, this is sped up because, trust me, you would be falling asleep by now if you're watching. This was so therapeutic. I tell you what, I popped on some shows, and I tell you, I was just in my own little fairyland doing this. It was great. So anyone having a stressful week, give this a crack. Trust me. It's really good. And I just felt really good when I got to the end of it. But I wanted to just give it a bit of a... I ended up losing that bottom circle. I can see that it's there, but it's... Once I put that photo on it, but once I had done the circles, I realized that that's the perfect spot to put that second photo. So, but I actually like it. I like how it turns out. It's more like a keyhole shape. But it took me a while, and I went around and I got all these leaves, and then I went back through. My video actually ran out and I didn't realize. So it took 3.5 hours of record time and it stopped. So I then had to, and I kept going. So I apologize. I haven't edited all the way up to this point, except for I didn't video the fussy cutting. Up to this point, I haven't edited anything, but I apologize so badly because there is a little bit that you'll notice some leaves just magically appear and some extra flowers just magically appear here shortly because my record time ran out and I was really frustrated and I'm so sorry. And I had added the border as well. So to say that I absolutely loved how this turned out, I really, really do. And I'm not sure, but there is a MARTE competition going at the moment. It's a prize thing. So if you think I should submit this, let me know, because I'm like you. I don't have the most confidence in the world, and I'm not sure if I should or I shouldn't. So let me know below if you think I should submit it to the competition. I think it's to win $100 worth of supplies. There you go. Now, this is the bit that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I skipped this. Pride myself on doing this. So I used the MARTE Studio acrylic titanium white paint. Now, what I actually did is that's really opaque as well. Now, I do show you exactly how I did it, but it's already done on the wreath. So I just put a bit of paint on the plastic. I just use plastic from the bin, and I used my what do you call it? It actually came with an embossing kit. That's what it came with, but it's a stylus. And it's just got a nice round tip on it. So I went around on all the large flowers and I put the little white stamens, I put those all the way around. If you have a look on my Facebook page, you will see close-ups of the photos, so you can see exactly what I've done. And once I actually realized there was a few that I probably could have gone over it twice, and because I was just going quickly, and I actually noticed while I was doing this that I probably should have gone over a couple of them twice. But that just really brightened it all up and made it all come alive. And then what I did as well was I pulled out the Ranger liquid pearls, and it's dimensional pearlescent paint, and I used white opal. And I went around in the center of all of these, which you can see it's already done. As I said, unfortunately, I didn't realize. So this is the liquid pearls, and I just went around and just went in the center of every single flower has that in the center. Now, I actually realized in a second, you'll see it. So that's it. That's the page. But when I lift it up, I actually spot a flower up the top there that missed out on some liquid pearls. So I am actually going to be able to show you at least one, without touching the rest of it. And that's all you do, and you get the perfect little blob, and it's so good. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have stuck with me through this. Let me know below if you think that I should submit it. I don't know if I should or I shouldn't. I think it's just a case of popping a photo of it on Instagram. And yeah, so here's the close-ups for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, it is free and it does help my channel out a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, maybe give me a thumbs up if you think it's good. And yeah, so there's my floral page that I absolutely love. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every single bit. And there's all the texture. Check it out. And I will be back tomorrow with another video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye for now.